Prime Minister Modi is visiting Varanasi for the first time after his victory from the temple town. The Prime Minister has thanked the people of his constituency for reposing their faith in him and his government for another 5 years. Speaking of faith, the Prime Minister will be at the Ghats in the holy city where the Ganga Aarti will be taking place. Viewers, we know that Prime Minister Modi's relationship with Kashi is both spiritual and political in disposition. We have seen the Prime Minister at Kashi Vishwanath Mandir numerous times earlier as well, paying obeisance to Lord Shiva. Prime Minister Modi has transformed spiritual centres in Varanasi into centres of economic activities as well. The Ganga Aarti has been turned into a marvellous spectacle for visitors, and the Kashi Vishwanath Corridor has been turned into a centre for religious tourism also. The Prime Minister's push for an Indic Renaissance goes much beyond Kashi as well. His proud display of Hindu Dharma is also playing a crucial role in this entire process. We'll talk about this with our guest. My colleague Jameel Ahmed is joining us at this point in time from Varanasi. Akshit Gupta, my colleague, is also here with us. Mr. Deshratan Nigam, political analyst, joins us on the show as well. Abhishek Banerjee, columnist and political analyst, also with us on the program. Jameel, मैं सबसे पहले आपके पास आना चाहूँगा. पिछली बार जब हमारी बातचीत हुई थी तब आपके पीछे काफ़ी हरकत नहीं हो रही थी, पर जैसे जैसे शाम ढलती जा रही है, लोगों की भीड़ बढ़ती जा रही है. प्रधानमंत्री का जो आज प्रोग्राम है और जो घोषणाएं भी की गई हैं किसानों को लेकर, उस पर भी हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले वार्तालाप की थी. अभी प्रधानमंत्री का क्या प्लान है और काशी की जो जनता है वो प्रधानमंत्री को वापस आते हुए देख कितनी उत्साहित है, कितनी ऊर्जा से भरपूर है?
देखिए, बिल्कुल हमारी जो मौजूदगी इस समय है वो दशाश्वमेध घाट के ठीक बगल में राजेंद्र प्रसाद घाट है, वहां पर मौजूदगी है. क्योंकि मीडिया अलाउड नहीं है, दूरी पर मीडिया को रखा गया है. लेकिन अब गोदौलिया चौराहे से जैसे ही हम एंट्री किए दशाश्वमेध घाट के आने के लिए, तो दोनों तरफ तमाम जो दर्शक हैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को चाहने वाले हैं, वो दोनों कतार में खड़े थे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को देखने के लिए. निश्चित तौर पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी कुछ ही देर में गंगा घाट पहुंचेंगे, जहां विश्व विख्यात गंगा आरती होती है, और उसकी आरती को देखने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी पहुंचने वाले हैं. दर्शकों को देखिए, तमाम जो यहाँ पर लोग हैं, जो दूर दराज से आए हुए पर्यटक है वो भी हैं, और बनारस की जो आवाम है वो भी यहाँ पर मौजूद है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को देखने के लिए. क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी 8वीं लोकसभा चुनाव को जीतने के बाद तीसरी बार प्रधानमंत्री पद की शपथ लिया और उसके बाद पहली बार अपने संसदीय क्षेत्र वाराणसी में आ रहे हैं. तो निश्चित तौर पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का स्वागत करने के लिए बनारस ही नहीं, देश के अलग अलग जगहों से जो भी मेहमान बनारस में आए हुए हैं वो स्वागत करने के लिए तैयार है. स्वागत में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को फूल मालाओं के साथ, ढोल नगाड़े के साथ होगा, और साथ ही साथ कुछ महिलाएं ऐसी भी हैं जो शंख बजाकर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का स्वागत करने के लिए मौजूद है. तो निश्चित तौर पर कुछ ही देर में प्रधानमंत्री पहुंचेंगे तो तस्वीर बेहद ही खूबसूरत होगा. हम अपने दर्शकों को इस बार दिखा दें कि देखिए, ठीक आप हमारे सामने देख रहे होंगे, जो तस्वीर आपको दिखाई दे रही होगी यही ये घाट है और दशाश्वमेध की प्राचीन आरती यहीं पर होती है. कुछ ही देर में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी यहाँ पर पहुंचेंगे और आरती को देखेंगे. ये मौका प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के लिए 6वीं बार होगा. प्रधानमंत्री अब तक कुल 5 बार यहाँ पर आरती देख चुके हैं और छठी बार, तीसरी बार प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद वो आरती देखने के लिए आ रहे हैं. तो बनारस से लगाव जो प्रधानमंत्री का रहा है बेहद ही खास रहा है, क्योंकि बनारस ने 10 साल नहीं बल्कि अब 15 साल के लिए बनारस के सांसद के तौर पर उन्हें चुना है. और बनारस प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के लिए बेहद ही खास रहता है, क्योंकि बनारस में जब भी प्रधानमंत्री आते हैं तो बहुत बड़ा तोहफा देकर जाते हैं. पिछली बार उन्होंने 2024 के लोकसभा चुनाव में एक सभा को संबोधित करते हुए उन्होंने कहा था कि 10 साल में बनारस के लोगों ने मुझे बनारसी बना दिया. तो निश्चित तौर पर बनारस में जब भी प्रधानमंत्री आते हैं तो उसी अंदाज में बोलते हैं और उसी अंदाज में बनारस के लोग भी उनका स्वागत करने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं. जी.
Akshit, my colleague, also with us on the broadcast. Akshit, it's an important day for the Prime Minister as well. It's a befitting, display of gratitude by the Prime Minister for the people and towards the people who have trusted him consecutively for a third term now. And Jameel is absolutely right that he's going to serve the people of Varanasi for 15 years with this new beginning.
Well, yes, Vineet, very rightly, the Prime Minister also stated and expressed his gratitude to the people of Varanasi who have first entrusted him with a lot of responsibilities and chosen him as their representative for the third time. And Prime Minister Modi also said that they have not only chosen a member of parliament but they have also chosen the Prime Minister from the home for the third consecutive time. So, first, a display that is rather important for the optics which it carries with it. And also, it is the first visit of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi after becoming Prime Minister for the third time to his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi, perhaps to express his gratitude. And of course, as my colleague told, he will also be offering prayers at the holy river Ganga. And very importantly, he has also dispersed the 17th installment of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, which is rather important and has been a key poll plank in the election campaigning also of the BJP. Of course, providing an impetus not only to farmers but also to the poor people. So that has, of course, remained a key poll plank, and it also aims to secure future of almost 9 crore farmers with a disbursement of 20,000 crore. And he has also thanked the women voters of the country, saying that almost 31 crore women voters have taken part in this mammoth electoral cycle, which actually reflects the spirit of democracy of India. So perhaps this is the first visit, which is also important from the point of view of optics, and of course, Prime Minister is offering his gratitude to the people of Varanasi.
All right, Jameel and Akshat, appreciate you joining us. Let me, in fact, rope in Mr. Deshrathan Nigam into this conversation as well. Mr. Nigam, thank you for being here. Well, what does this visit mean for you when it comes to the Prime Minister? Not taking too long to go back to the place which has entrusted him with this big responsibility, regardless of what the results were or what the margins were. It's very, very evident that it's not only optics that the Prime Minister is in fact serving Varanasi for. He's actually in it to win it.
Well, Vineet, in fact, the Prime Minister's connection to Varanasi goes much beyond and much before the elections when he, for the first time, got elected in 2014. And that spiritual connection is for him, which he is trying to maintain. And certainly, third time becoming the Prime Minister, the responsibilities are far more. His duties and responsibilities are far more, because once you come into third time, you are fully experienced as a Prime Minister, 2 terms Prime Minister, and therefore you look into various aspects. It is spiritual. That's a spiritual connection. It has nothing to do with politics. However, in Sanatan Dharma, it is expected that spirituality will infuse every aspect of your life, which is whether it is politics or not, because the byproduct of spirituality is integrity and honesty. And that is what our Prime Minister is. He's a hard taskmaster, no doubt about it. He's the kind of a person who goes to, 7 countries in 5 days, comes back and immediately takes the cabinet meeting and then pronounces the various decisions that have been taken. So everybody knows about his, the image of his taskmaster. Various secretaries and others have also been with whom I am in touch. In Government of India, and otherwise my own, college mates and otherwise, they clearly tell me that he's a hard taskmaster. I'm sure he's concerned about the politics which has unfolded in this election, whether it is in Varanasi, UP, and certain other parts, because BJP was expecting A results, however the results were B. And the connection with, let me tell you, with Varanasi is a kind of connection that I don't think you can, measure it in terms of any material parameters. That he has been very clear, and the road show that he's going to have, and the connection with the farmers that he has announced, or the Ganga Aarti, which shows his spirituality, or, visiting a locomotive factory. Those are the factors you see. He's combining work, farmers' interest, employment, otherwise, along with his spirituality. And believe me, if you infuse in spirituality in every aspect of your life, you are bound to be successful, because then you don't discriminate between people, between A people, between B people. The esteem for everyone. And that is what we see in this Prime Minister. And third time Prime Minister, which clearly means that he's got his task cut out, and he's supposed to deliver, which he will deliver in my opinion. And he's got excellent choice of ministers. A lot of have been continued. Excellent bureaucrats that I know of, which are going to deliver and work. And that is where we stand today. And Varanasi is a symbol of religious tourism. It's not actually tourism. It is a symbol of spirituality, where people come to actually look inside, out of, materialism. And all of us, at one stage or the other, who are working, probably they think that they must visit these spiritual centers, but at the end of the day, when we have already worked, exhausted ourselves, we look for spirituality and to look within, to have a connection with the Supreme Being. And therefore, that is what Prime Minister has chosen, Varanasi. And I'm sure his third term will show excellent results for India. India will take its rightful place as a Vishwa Guru in a committee of nations. Vineet.
All right, good points there, Mr. Nigam. Abhishek Banerjee, columnist and political analyst, also with us on the show. Mr. Banerjee, I hope you can hear me. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
All right. Well, the Prime Minister, takes his politics, takes his spirituality, and taking a leaf out of what Mr. Nigam said, also takes his constituents very, very seriously. And this is not to be, in fact, mixed or conflated with what he does as his role, while being the Prime Minister. The fact of the matter is that the third time victory from Varanasi has been handed out to him is because he's been very consistent in the way he has appeared, he's performed and delivered for the people of Varanasi.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is that he's the third term Prime Minister, successive third term after Nehru. This is a very big achievement, and he's looking to cement his legacy. And the choice of Varanasi as his constituency in 2014, that was also extremely symbolic because, Varanasi occupies a unique place in Indian civilizational heritage. So, and he has visited Varanasi a very large number of times. I've lost count of how many times he has visited. I have visited Varanasi as well. I have seen how much change has come to the city, how much the city has seen development. So, as India looks to become the world's third largest economy, there will always be a focus on what is happening in the Prime Minister's own constituency, which in also many ways represents the soul of India. So, the world will be keenly watching. Everybody will be keenly looking at what happens in Varanasi, how India develops, how the Prime Minister's constituency becomes a microcosm of India's growth over the last 15 years.
You said that you used a very interesting word, that how the Prime Minister's constituency becomes a microcosm for the rest of the country. Don't you think a lot of people, especially in the opposition, will have a problem with that?
I mean, Varanasi, whenever there is a person who's the Prime Minister, obviously there's going to be a lot of interest because he's not just a Prime Minister, he's also an MP for a seat, right? So, for instance, if you look at the condition of certain seats which have produced lots of Prime Ministers for this country, and if you look at their condition 70 years after independence, that is also a metaphor for the way India became 3 times poorer over the last 4 decades, over the first 40 years since independence. So, the Prime Minister's seat, obviously it receives focus. There is reason for it. Of course, that does not mean that, development will not be equitable. For instance, when he released the installment of the Kisan Samman Nidhi, obviously that was not just targeted to his own constituency. It was distributed across India, across the length and breadth of India. And along with that, so I think there was the Krishi Sakhi amount that was also released. Obviously, that also has absolutely nothing to do locally with the city. It is going to every part of the country. But yeah, it makes sense to take a look at where the Prime Minister's seat is. He's also a local MP, and his work as a local MP should also be taken into consideration.
Mr. Nigam, how do you conflate the Prime Minister's work as a local MP of Kashi onto the bigger platform and to the bigger picture, and how it resonates with the rest of India in terms of development and performance?
See, one can look at the issue that you have raised from 2 aspects, at the all India level and at the local level. He has transformed Varanasi. Varanasi is now become a hub. The transformation of Kashi Vishwanath temple and its corridors is par excellence. Now people actually, straight away from Ghat to the temple, which was actually the original design, which was there where people used to directly connect with and I hope one day the grand Kashi Vishwanath temple will be built through the process of court and law. And secondly, the All India Development Indices, if you look at the kind of schemes that they have, is humongous, phenomenal, whether it is Mudra Loan, whether it is Ujjwala Yojana or Kisan Samman Nidhi, as Mr. Banerjee was talking about, or Lakpati Didis, or Har Ghar Nal or Jal, things like that. These are phenomenal. the creation and sustenance and sustainability of infrastructure, the highways, the railways, the airports. These are phenomenal. India had not seen, and people's aspirations have risen. They have high expectation from this government. They never had such kind of expectation prior to 2014, because it was expected that they will go at a snail's pace and some crumbs will be thrown to the people and people will become happy. Now people are not going to become happy because you can give them something in piecemeal. They are looking for huge development. The scale and speed of development has changed. Mr. Gadkari is a prime example of highways infrastructure which he's done. He's earned kudos. There are other ministers, Mr. Vaishnav, Jyotiraditya Scindia, S. Jaishankar, or Giriraj Singh. Take any. I mean, I can take names one after the others. As he's a taskmaster, he's making them work also. They also want to work, because BJP's Karyakartas, when they come from the ground, booth level, rise to the highest level, they have seen the struggles of the people. They themselves have gone to the struggles, and therefore the whole issue is today that all the ministers or the people working under them keep their shoulders very firm on keep their head very firm on their shoulders and keep working. And I'm sure from fifth largest economy, we are soon going to be third, and then aspiring for becoming the best in the world. And India's development is very inclusive. It's not exclusive. It does not leave anybody out, whether it is within the country. Every citizen is a part of it, and even abroad also. You look at the vaccine matrix that we had shown. About more than 100, about 150 countries were sent vaccines without any charges when the world was struggling, and the West was not giving those vaccines to the people. This is the kind of the attitude or the principles that or the policy that Indian government has of considering the world as a family. And therefore, the Prime Minister is very clear in its attitude. He met the Pope also at G7. He met other leaders also. So he's building the bridges between, wherever there is a discord, or between Ukrainians or the Russians, or, for example, people have requested for him to intervene between Gazans and Israelis. So he's got that, image with the India's backing, that he can be a person who can bring peace to the world. And a lot of backdoor diplomacy also goes on, which we are not even aware of. The bureaucrats involved, and they are doing a wonderful job, and the ministers involved, and those are the things which may not be there in the news, because those backdoor channels and diplomacy which goes on really brings results, final results, when people come out and sign the agreements or various kind of understanding that they have. Huge amount of work goes on there, and therefore I think the Prime Minister also realizes the challenges he has, both at the international level, at the domestic level. He has to deal with it, because certain politicians did make very fiery comments prior to elections that if BJP wins, the country will be on fire. Karo ya maro, sar pe kafan baandh ke chalo, ke agar BJP jeeti hai. So he has to be aware of various challenges also, take appropriate steps, which I am sure his team is very capable of. The ministers, bureaucrats, everybody, they are very capable, and I am sure they are going to deliver. And ministers like Ashwini Vaishnav you have, or for that matter, as I said, Nitin Gadkari, or take anybody, because they have to perform. If you do not perform, the results may further go down. Therefore, it is development and taking that development at the perceptional level to the people. See, perception is very important. What you do, people must be aware of it. They must be made aware of it. Otherwise, what happens that it may not translate into votes. Therefore, have good people who create perceptions, who take the development to the people, tell them these are the developments have been there, have more people coming under the scheme, which BJP has already started 6 months before the elections, trying to be inclusive, getting more and more people to the schemes that ask their Karyakartas to go on the ground. Therefore, today, I feel India's democracy is very sound, very matured, functional democracy we have. It is inclusive. It brings everybody under the umbrella. It does not leave anybody behind, irrespective of his caste, creed, religion, and special empowerment for women. The entire focus of this government is that the disadvantage that the women were considered to have once upon a time, it should not be there in this present regime. So empowerment of women is absolutely necessary. The Women Reservation Bill was passed. It is going to be implemented. And therefore, if, there is a difference. If a man develops, it's him. But if a family, if the mother develops in the house, the entire kids and everybody, there is a transformation in them. Not to undermine the role of men. Men obviously have always had a very important role in the society, in the family, otherwise also. But it's the women that had to be brought in at par with the men. That is where this government's work is absolutely necessary, and they are doing a wonderful job. And I'll give you one statistics. Out of, I think, 50 crores of Mudra loans, 31 crores have gone to women. That is the emphasis, that microfinance, makes a person to be self-reliable, business-oriented, and also employment generated. Each loan probably creates 2 or 3 employments. That is where this government is creating a huge employment in informal sector, but that will not be reflected in data because that informal sector requires a huge amount of exercise for data collection. So I believe we are going on the right path, and challenges are there, no doubt, and everybody has to be taken along. Constant dialogue with the opposition is absolutely necessary, but constructive dialogue should be there. Opposition must also realize that criticism in vacuum without any solution, or critical analysis without giving any solution is no consultation. If you have a problem with the scheme, please suggest the changes, suggest the solutions. It is then, it can be said to be a constructive dialogue. And that, I believe, will surely take place. I expect, equally matured responsibility both from the government and the opposition leaders. And Varanasi probably is the greatest symbol of assimilation and inclusiveness, which the Prime Minister has chosen as constituency after a great thought.
All right.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.